to Wales. Wales through a goal, slots it beyond Foderingham, and the Millers are in front in the South Yorkshire derby. And for the first time in 42 years, Rotherham United win at Bramall Lane. On the edge of the box for Duffy, he can hit them, and he does. Duffin has scored an absolute screamer for Rotherham United. Rotherham United have secured their championship status for next season.
Do me a favour, drop me off in Rotherham.
Hello everybody, welcome again to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast. Thank you all for being with us today. We're back, football's back, proper football. We're prepared to talk about domestic Rotherham United football as the first Yorkshire Huddersfield Town, with a couple of subplots in there for good measure. We will go through all the news that's happening from Rotherham United, which obviously is not much because it's an international break, and we'll preview the game itself. Mick, how are you doing?
I'm all good, mate. Thank you very much. Are you?
I'm very, very good. Very, very good. Tom, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. Work's taking me a bit aback. I didn't realise 9 to 5 was actually this tiring, but apparently it is.
There might, Tom, only another 50 years of it left.
I'm going to say, I owe my mum and dad a lot of apologies.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. Thank you everybody for always joining us today. What I will start by saying is we have had a busy night tonight. I've seen Mick and Tom tonight more than I've seen my own family this evening. We have just finished, in the last half an hour, speaking to Hakeem Adofin. He was lovely. He was such a lovely guy. That was all being well, so just filming. All being well, that will be out Friday evening. So the idea is to release I chat with the Duffin on Friday evening, and then the audio podcast will be real Saturday morning. Same style as the sort of preview shows. It's a perfect listen on the drive to Huddersfield. It's about 55 minutes. How long does it take to go to Huddersfield, Mick? About just under an hour.
Well, you've got to find somewhere to park and all, haven't you? So
it's the perfect length to drive to West Yorkshire. Boys, do you want to talk up any more than I already have done?
No, he was lovely. Really nice guy. Really good.
Top man. Absolute top man.
I have realised now, and might as well say it now because everybody's going to find out. We didn't ask him about his contract situation. We were told to ask him about his contract situation. So don't expect that question because we didn't ask it. I forgot. But we asked.
You can pop it in the chat. I'm sure he's watching.
Yeah, thanks. What's happening?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's out Friday night, and as we do with many things on this show, we highly recommend it because it's a good chat. It's a good chat by a good guy. Tonight we have Sarah Ogden with us, Connor Simpson, Aaron the bus driver, Steve Gundy, Kim Haywood, Chris Nichols. Hi from Australia. International breaks are shocking. Yeah, here they are. Shelley says it'll be strange seeing Ben Wiles' opposition shirt. Yeah, it will. We'll come on to that. Watford fan says proper football is back. Yes. Let's start though with, I'm not sure quite it's breaking news, but it's news that's been broke today by Paul Davis. Aaron the bus driver says Cafu for a contract extension potentially. Now there's obviously Cafu's had a great start to season, Mick. He hasn't hit his heights yet. I don't think there's still more to come, but we've got a hell of a player on there. And there it turns out, Matt Tiller said there's an option. There's an option for us to extend Cafu's contract. So essentially, we've got Cafu on his bit, assuming he's injury free, basically a 2-year contract. That's great business.
Absolutely is, yeah, absolutely. Because if he has a good season this season, we might be able to cash in on him. Even if
he's 30, isn't
he? Well, possibly, yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, we'll keep him. I'm happy to keep him anyway, one way or another. He's a cracking player, isn't he? And he's been instrumental in the performances that we put in this season so far. And given the fact that he's not really played for 2 seasons, he's only going to get better as he starts to get more and more match fit. So, I mean, it's great news and it's good business. It's really good business on Rotherham United's part, I think. To get that into the contract there. We're obviously paying him a decent wage in terms of wages. We're going to be given where he's come from. Tony Stewart's pushed the boat out there. So I think it's right that that clause has been put in there to give us that option. fingers crossed.
Yeah, I think it's also potentially a protection for us because you're right. Like Mick's right in what you're saying, Tom. That Cathal will be on a fair whack. So if we sign him on a 2-year contract and we got relegated, and he's on 15 grand a week, we're going to be in a bit of trouble. So I think it's smart business from both sides to have that extension clause for a guy of his age and the money is probably on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think everyone was surprised when the news came out that we did have an option to extend it, which just goes to prove, how good that deal is. Obviously, it's if we stay up, but like Mick was saying, he's only just starting to play his football again. He's only going to get better, and from what we've seen of him already, a load of fans have calling him, fan favorite already. If he can keep getting better on that, and his set pieces are just fantastic. If we can keep that up all season, if he stays fit, then we've got a right player for the next couple of years.
Yeah, we have absolutely. Shirley says let's extend it now and not wait while it's too late. Could do, but I think there's those issues of potential injury and potentially in League One are the reasons that probably stop us from doing that. John Reynolds with us says it's a shocking day, so Mick, keep this humorous to cheer him up.
Oh mate,
no pressure, Mick.
If you're relying on me to cheer you up, mate, you must have had a bad day.
Let's go through a couple of injury things again, which is all from the press conference today that's been confirmed. So Adofin and Kelly are fitness. They've been training on grass since what Matt Tillis said, which is big news, mate. Because Adofin, it gives you that other option. You could, if you started Adofin on Saturday, nobody would bat an eyelid. But based on the 3 that played against Norwich, and in fact he's been injured, he'll probably start on the bench. That is a great option to have off the bench. And the same thing with Georgie. If we get Georgie on bench, that is another different type of player you've got to try and change the game. Because that's what we struggle to do with in depth is change the game in game. And those 2 players are perfect for that kind of thing.
Well, I mean, you said that we managed to change it against Leicester, didn't we? Not for the better, but we managed to change it with substitutions. Yeah, I mean, it is. You're absolutely right. And it's interesting that, give it sort of 12 months ago, if you'd have said that either starting Akeem Adofin, nobody would have batted an eyelid. You wouldn't have believed that a year ago. But right now, the way he's performing and the way he's performed this season, and given the fact that he's been playing that bit further forward, you're right, absolutely. Nobody will bat an eyelid. Not at all. Because he's just been phenomenal. So, and Georgie will do what Georgie does, won't he? Georgie will score you a goal. He'll look a bit gangly and everything else, but he is something different to what we've got. So it's a good position to be in. We've got Jamie Lindsay coming back as well from injury, so it is starting to take shape now in terms of that injury treatment room. Hopefully, there's nobody else filling it up after Saturday. Well, that won't we?
So again, this surprises me. Peltier is close to being back to fitness, which when he did it, Matt Taylor said it was a significant injury, and that was multiple months. It's been a month, less than a month, or just over a month. So
yeah, that's
good
interesting because as you'll hear when you listen to the Hakeem Adofin interview, one of the first things you asked him about, Matt, was his injury, and I'd like to have delved a little bit deeper into it because he came off at Sunderland as a precaution. Is what he said, and it feels like an injury is not necessarily an injury as we would see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know whether that makes sense. So it's kind of all precautionary a lot of the time, whereas it would appear that Lee Peltier's was an injury as we would assess it as an injury. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe that is what classed as a serious injury. Just I'm not making any sense, am I? I'm talking around in circles. But
no, I know what you mean. So what we said injury is a hamstring tear or something like. Whereas these are because there's different grades, and I understand what you mean. I don't know if anybody else will, but I understand what you mean.
Nobody ever understands what that means.
Yeah,
it sounded like I think they're taking more care as well with the amount of injuries we had last season, and the early onset that we're getting, that we started this season with. I think they're taking a lot more precaution. So even if it is, a slight tweak or a this, that, or the other, I think they're taking a lot more precaution with it and just not rushing them back as quickly as they maybe would have done last season, which in the long run builds their strength and conditioning up as well, which I think it's the best way to go. And it I know that earlier on in the season we spoke a lot about strength in depth and the lack thereof, but I think currently, if you look at it and you say if we put Hacks back in, nobody would bat an eyelid. You're absolutely right, but in the same breath, if he's on the bench, I don't think anyone bats an eyelid either, because that is how good the midfield are playing at the minute. So it's all about maintaining it as well as trying to actually make sure that the best squad is playing.
Yeah, it's also reported that Grant Hall's had another setback. I don't know. Again, no details as far as I've seen about the circumstances of that or what that is, but that's a shame. That's a crying shame for him. It's a crying shame for the team because it's another experienced head. It's an experienced head because we've got Sean Morrison, Tom, who is experienced and he does what he does. Grant Hall's experience, but he is a different type of player. So I think Grant Hall would work if Balotelli came out. Grant Hall's a perfect replacement to come into that back four, where Sean Morrison might not be. I think it's potentially a big blow if Grant Hall's out for another period of time.
Yeah, it is a big blow. It's not. It's tough because when the injury first happened, it was, who was it pre-season? Was it Borough? No, it was later than that, wasn't it? It was anyway. It was he was looking back to his full fitness, full strength. Injuries behind him, and it was a slight, like I was saying before, precaution kind of thing. And then, a month and a half, 2 months later, and we're still talking about him not being back and not even on the grass, not even looking like he's going to be playing. So it's a shame, and you just think, where does it go from here? Is it going to be a case this time 6 months? Are we going to be talking about Hall anywhere near the squad, or is it going to be another injury, or is it? Because I love him. I think he's a great footballer. I think he gives Humphreys and Blackett a run for their money in terms of who you're starting. But currently, it's hard to see him not just getting back into the team, but getting back into a consistent run in the team. And then you look at Morrison's probably ahead of him at the minute. So it's tough. It really is. And I understand the risk completely when we signed him, and I fully agreed with it. I think a lot of fans weren't so sure. It's easy saying that now, but at the time, I think a lot of fans were quite ready for the risk. Clearly, it's not paid off just yet, but he's a fantastic player. So if you can manage to stay fit post Christmas, I think it'll be good for him. But like you said, it's a setback for not just the club but him as well.
Yeah. I just want to pick up that Jamie Lindsay and Fergie, Paul Davis reports that they're both still pretty far away. I don't know if Lindsay's had another setback. I know Fergie's got this constant problem. I think it's a hernia that he played through last season. I'm good for Fergie. I think he's such a useful player to have as one of that front three. Well, obviously the left hand side of the front three. He was brilliant at that time last season in that really front three. So that's a shame. But we move on. Sadly for them. Luca Wildgoose wants to know, Mick, how would you compare the current midfield we have now to the one that started last season? You can see how the rebuild has gone. I mean, last season we were sat here going, oh my God, we've got Dan Barlas, we've got Ben Wiles, we've got Ollie Rathbone. What a midfield this is. And now we're sat here going, God, we've got Cafu dying. And Axe in there as well. It's difficult to compare, but is that an upgrade?
Time will tell, won't it? Time will tell.
Ever the optimist.
As a cop out.
Yeah.
Well, let's be realistic. You're going to compare Cafu and you're going to compare Ben Wiles, I would argue. Cafu at the moment has more to his game than Ben's had for the last couple of seasons. Unfortunately, for a number of reasons, obviously the injuries that he's had, and the sort of much talked about head turning that appears to have gone off. Who knows? Whatever that is, I think more probably injury than anything else. So at the moment, I would argue that Cafu is an upgrade on what Ben Wiles has been for us in the last 2 seasons, not what he's likely to be in future, because he's experienced and he's got a little bit more to his game. You know, he's got that delivery, he's got that dead ball delivery as well. So, arguably an upgrade there. The jury's out on Tahi being an upgrade on Dan Barlasser. I don't think those words had ever come out of my mouth, to be quite honest with you. That anybody could be an upgrade on him at our level, you know, or at a level that we could afford. But he's certainly got the potential to do that. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see on that. But it's certainly comparable, without a doubt. It's comparable.
Yeah. It's not weaker, is it?
No, it's definitely not weaker. And I think if I had to nail my colours to the mast, I'd say it's arguably stronger.
Yeah. Well, and I think I added into it, Tom. Sorry, Dan. Tom.
I am the only person.
Rathbone's improved. Rathbone over the last 12 months in the Championship has got a significantly better player. So again, from that point, we're saying this is a better midfield because of how he's grown into this division. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Some players kind of take the step up and don't really fulfill what you thought they could. I hate to say it, but i.e. Ben Wiles. But yeah, you look at players like Rathbone, who not only has improved since last season, but somehow has managed to, because last season he carried us on his back for plenty of games, becoming captain, vice captain now, and becoming, you know, not just a better footballer, but a better leader, player, tactician. You know, everything about his game has improved. And I think it's due to the players around him as well. I think the better quality players that we bring it. Sorry, there's a flag buzzing on. I think the better quality players that we're bringing in is just upping everyone else's game. I mean, I think you'll see, but we spoke to Hacks about it. Just the quality that we're bringing in, everyone's, you know, pushing a bit harder, a bit, you know, faster, a bit stronger, just to make sure that their place isn't in jeopardy.
Look, I stuck it out, hasn't it, mate?
I know. Gosh. And then, but you say that beginning midfield, and then you compare it with the end midfield as well. You got Coventry, Fosu, and Rathbone, and you think, you know, the upgrade on that is extraordinary. I know that we lost Wiles through injury, and we lost Barlasser, you know, for the right reasons, I think. So, you know, it is a process, and I think it's a very good process, because there's still Cafu, you know, Rathbone and Thierry is still quite young, still got time to improve. They're both, hopefully Rathbone signs this contract, which means that partnership of them two can last for another, you know, 3 to 4 years, permitting. So yeah, I think it's looking up, and I think if that midfield can stay fit, we can absolutely compete with any team in this division, because they are that good on their days, which has been, you know, the past 4 or 5 games. So we'll see if that consistency can keep up.
Julian Morley says, imagine Barlasser in this squad, but nobody has an upgrade on him, in my opinion, simply because of his passability. That's fair.
I can't argue with that. I mean, it's difficult to argue with it, isn't it? You know what my views on Dan Barlasser are as a player and as a bloke. You know, he's just absolutely top draw. But obviously, we as a club have moved on, and we've now got to look to replace or refill that role. And now, I'm you know, Chris Tahi is going to be more than capable of filling that role. No good question.
Absolutely. Shelley says, Mick, and I think we've seen this so far this season. Do you think Thierry and Cafu will bring more out of Ollie? I don't think Rathbone at the start of the season maybe he wanted. I think he's been relatively quiet, but I think he's still having positive impacts on the game. I think his game's slightly different this season so far. 5 games in, you know what I mean? So it's difficult to say with certainty, but I do think he's playing a slightly different game because we're not pressing as much as we were in terms of press. He's having to be a bit smarter on what he does, and I think we have seen since Matt Taylor's come in, never mind Cafu and Thierry, I think since Matt Taylor's come in, Rathbone's game has evolved into a more ball-carrying player than he was under Warne.
It has, and it's improved. And he's gonna get the opportunity to develop more, I think, because Cafu does some of the work that Ollie does. You know, Cafu is more of a a combative midfielder than Ben Wild, for example, who we replaced. So he's taking a little bit of that workload off Ollie Rathbone, which is allowing him to show what he's capable of doing with the ball at his feet, what he's capable of doing in terms of picking out a pass, which we know he can do, but he's never really been consistently in a position to do that because of his sort of workmanlike. I said workmanlike as he's terrier-like towards the game. So yeah, and again we talked about it an hour or so ago now. Better players mean, and Tom's alluded to it. Better players around within the squad motivate the other players to develop even further. There's loads to come from a lot of these players. Ollie Rathbone being one of them. So it's he has changed his role slightly, but it's still an absolute pain in the backside for players, isn't it?
Yeah,
which is what we want from Ollie.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Palmer says, "Is Matt Taylor safe asking for £1 million again?" Yeah. He's talked about spending money again. To be fair, we're obviously tongue in cheek that, but I like that again, Tom. It's just a way he's talking about the way a modern football club should operate, and that it sounds a bit alien to us because if it has been operating modern, we just not seen that side of it, and this is how modern football operates. You've got to spend £1 million to make 10 million quid on a play, for example, like he's always said with Nombe. He's talking the talk. Yeah,
absolutely, and I think I know we hate talking about the previous management here, but under the previous regime, I think I don't think it was ever a case that you would go out and ask for that much money, whereas Taylor demands it. I think Stuart said that for the first time as his reign as chairman, he doesn't feel like the boss, which is the way that it should be. Taylor is the boss of the football club, and whatever he says essentially goes. And I think with the capabilities that Rob Scott has behind him, I think you're a surefire bet that whoever you do sign, no matter the price, is going to be somebody who is, worth double, triple that in, 2, 3, 4 years. I mean, we look at Christ now, Thierry now, and you think, how much was it that he cost us? 400?
About 500k, roughly.
500? And you look at him now against a midfield of Leicester's, when you think of Ndidi almost costing Forest 25 million, you think, is there, I think I've said it before, but is there a difference? And not just in terms of player, but in terms of price. You look at Humphreys and a couple others. I mean, Barlasser should have gone for more than he was worth if we did our business right. So I think it was a bit of a wake-up call for Stuart, and I think that he has gone out now and decided, we're going to have to spend the money to get the money. Especially with the money that we got for staying up. I think that would have been a large part of it. But, he's turned around and spent the money that we got for Wiles instantly on a player that we think we can get double, triple for. So, it is a business at the end of the day, unfortunately. But it's a business that hopefully continues to work, where we develop players from a young age and sell them off for a bigger profit, which then improves the squad a lot more. So I'm happy that Stuart is no longer the boss. I came out bad.
Reg says, I think this is true. As long as we're not getting financial trouble, we're all for it. Yeah, correct. As long as we're still in a tight ship. Paramount agrees with you. Tom, I think Taylor's woke Stuart up. Yeah.
I think it's a different relationship. I think it's a different relationship because Paul Warne was in a very difficult position to challenge the chairman when he became manager, because he's essentially come up from being a personal trainer, a fitness trainer to manager of the club, and all of a sudden he's trying to negotiate with the chairman who was levels and levels above him. It's a difficult transition, I think, to make for Paul Warne, with the greatest respect. Whereas Matt Taylor has come in as manager, and he's had an interview and he's given the chairman and the board his vision of what he expects and wants to do with the football club. And he's talked about it. He's talked about it many times about trying to shake off this small club mentality. And I was kind of smirking to myself as you were talking about him wanting another £1 million. And, we've got John in the comments from Birmingham and the Watford fan who probably have a little wry smile, that is us talking about, spending 3 podcasts talking about the fact we spent £1 million on a player that nobody's ever heard of, and I get that. I do understand that, and that I think that's one of the things that Matt Taylor's talking about, this small club attitude that we've all got, and we've all got it because we've been a small club for a long time. But Matt Taylor doesn't want that. He doesn't like that, and he doesn't see that. And I think he's sort of instilling that ethos on Tony Stewart and giving Tony Stewart the confidence that if he does invest his money, he will get it back. And Tony Stewart's nobody's mug. He is no mug. That man has made, he's made it. He's a businessman for however many years and made a lot of money. He knows how to make money. So if he feels that investing that amount of money in a player once, twice, or even more is worth doing, then it's worth doing. So we'll have to wait and see.
I think if you look at teams like Plymouth as well, who spent teams like Plymouth, I didn't mean it like that, but when you look at them spending $1 million on Whittaker and then $1 million on Mumba,
yeah, I think so,
yeah, who are 2 fantastic players, and not only that, but 2 players that will go for 10, 15 million in the future because of how sought after they will be after one and a half good seasons in the Championship. I mean, that Mumba started fantastically well, still 22, I think, and he's the sort of player that will leave to a Premier League club for 10 million, and then it turns around like that instead of it has to be like there's a hashtag already.
Yeah.
But I think that's the model that teams should run, and I think we have copied them in the best way possible. I meant it as a compliment. I absolutely think that teams should be run in a way that they are looking at a profit, not just in the short term with the quality of players that they're bringing in, but in the long term in regards to shipping them out again. Because as soon as Nombe signed, everyone thought, yeah, very good player, he'll be here for 2 years and then might leave for triple what we paid for him, and that's okay. If that's the way that Taylor wants to operate, or Stewart, or the club itself, I think everyone can be happy with that.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement. John Wells says financial trouble is the worst thing. Wouldn't wish it on anybody. They've had 10 years for it. We've had 2 very close calls.
Yeah. I mean, John's absolutely right, and like Birmingham, we've been in that same boat, so we're all singing from the same hymn sheet there, aren't we? We know what it's like. So,
Chris Nichols also said if we stay up this year, I'm not. He's quoted the figure of 20 million. I don't know the exact figure, but it's a significant increase in TV money if you stay up this year. So again, it is £1 million now, maybe £1 million in January. That's worth it if you stay up because you get, let's say, 20 million quid. So it's stupid not to invest, I suppose. All right, just comes in here. When does Hacks come on the podcast? Tomorrow evening. If anybody's missed that at the start of the episode, our chat with Hakeem Duffin is assuming I can edit it right between now and tomorrow, which should be fine because there's not much editing to be done. It was great. That will be out Friday evening on YouTube and Saturday morning for everybody's trip to Huddersfield. I'll probably mention that again at end episode as well. Let's talk more specifically about Saturday. We've got first of all do the ref watch. This is an odd one, this one. So the referee is Jeremy Simpson. After Saturday, he will have refed Rotherham United more than any other team in his career. It'll be the 22nd time he's refereed the club. As far as there's no major issue. There's no games to look at. We're going, oh my God, this guy's refereeing again. What is interesting is that he refereed both Huddersfield games last season, and now he's got the Huddersfield game this season. So he's ref 3 Rotherham Huddersfield games in a row. That's as interesting as I can make it when it comes to ref watch. No Gavin Ward or anything like that. We've got Jeff Eltringham on Wednesday next week. But we'll talk about that next week. That name does ring a bell, but I can't remember why. So, Mick, we have Huddersfield on Saturday away game. It's the 3rd away game of the season. We'll count it as a second one because Stoke don't count.
Yeah, we haven't.
If we use the first half an hour against Sunderland, for me that's the blueprint. We talked about this a little bit last week. The first half an hour against Sunderland was the blueprint of what I want to see from Rotherham United, home and away. To be honest with you, we were aggressive. We were in the face. We didn't let the home team settle. It allowed the fans to get on their backs. So I'm not sure that'll happen at Huddersfield, but it might. But that's what you've got to do. You've got to be aggressive against these teams. It's no good sitting back like we have done in previous times. That we've got to do what we did against the first half an hour against Sunderland for me.
Yeah, I mean, you know my view on this. I think you're better off going there all guns blazing and losing than going there and going out with a whimper, just trying to defend and losing. You know, we're far more effective as a team, both defensively and offensively, when we're aggressive and when we're on the front foot. You know, when we sit back and start to try and absorb the pressure, particularly in this league, you know, we're not at that level yet where we're capable of doing it. Certainly not against the likes of Leicester and Norwich and so on, although towards the back end, last 10, 15 minutes of that Norwich game, we were on the back foot. But yeah, I want to see the same as you. I want to see that sort of first 20, 25 minutes of the Sunderland game performance on Saturday. And I think if we do that, then we should be all right. Huddersfield have got the problems off the pitch, and I accept that they've got probably the best Championship manager of all time in charge of them. I don't think that's really in doubt, is it? You know, but he's having his issues, I think, off the field in terms of the support he's been given. So whether the fans are going to start to get on the back of not necessarily the team, but certainly the sort of hierarchy of the club, if things don't start to go their way, we'll have to wait and see on that. But yeah, get on the front foot and let's go after them, because this is one of the teams we're going to be in and around the area where we are in the division as the season goes on, I think. And it's about beating the teams around you, isn't it? As always. That's a famous footballing cliche now, isn't it? But it's true.
Yeah, it is. It's all right beating Norwich if then you lose to Huddersfield. It's all right, you know, picking up playing against Leicester if you then go lose to Cardiff or whatever. Yeah. Danny's with us. Dan, notorious DOG as usual. Danny's watching. I know he's break at work. Danny's working tonight. That's why he can't be with us. And that's why you missed the Hakeem Adoffin interview, which is devastating about. Okay. But yeah, Danny's with us. Thank you, Danny. Russ Vernon says it's the return of Wiles. Scott Kent says if Wiles scores, does he celebrate? We talked prior off air before we started recording about films and TV. You know, if football was a film, if football was a film or TV show, Ben Wiles would score, wouldn't he? It just feels like it's written in the stars, Tom.
Why have you said it?
Then we'll look great if he scores. We'll look like geniuses.
Yeah, I think he needed to kickstart his career. It stalled at us. Everyone sees that he's a fantastic player, but you know, for his sake, I hope he does play well. I'm not going to say score. I hope he plays well against us for the sake of it, and I hope he kicks on and becomes a proper player this season. The player that we all know he can be. Yeah, he's a good lad as well, or so he seems. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, in regards to that, did he start last game?
He started against West Brom, and if you watch the scout report I did with Cozzy from He Takes His Chance, he said he did very, very well. He had a really, really good start against West Brom.
There you go. Yeah. Again, for his sake, I hope he has a good game. For our sake, I hope he's crap. But I think if he scores, I think everyone rise smile kind of thing. That's what you got to say.
As long as it's a consolation goal, it don't matter, does it?
Yeah. If he scores an own goal, I think it's fine.
Yeah. New Harry Maguire. I'll take that.
You're some lucky man in England.
Shirley says Wiles will have a big say in Saturday's game. Feel like he'll turn up and play well, but also in the way we set up and play. That's true. John Morell says plays well. If I was you, I wanted to turn to Prime Maguire and then turn good after this game. Yeah, I'm with John. Yeah. I hope he has the worst game of his career on Saturday, and then I hope he scores 20 goals the rest of the season. That's fine. That's how it works. Except when we're playing at New York, obviously.
Yeah.
I think sadly, Nick. Go on, Nick.
Yeah.
Go on.
I can't see him having a good game just because of the strength of our midfield is just fantastic. I think he'll get overcrowded, overshadowed because most midfielders do against ours. I think, especially if we play the way that we do at home, that they'll be on him in a second. It'll be tough for him to get a foot in the game. I think he'll struggle, but having said that, he's probably going to score now, isn't he? So
yeah, and I suppose that's the thing we talked about 5 minutes ago, Mick, about our midfield. There are obviously teams in this division that's going to have stronger midfield from us, but there's not many teams outside probably the top 10 that are going to have stronger midfielders than us.
Yeah.
We've got other weaknesses that are maybe going to cost us points this season. But if Saturday comes into a battle into the midfield, I'm very, very happy that we can match most teams outside of the big boys, really.
Yeah, I am as well. Absolutely, I am. Having said that, I'm positive that we can on very limited knowledge, having not seen much of them. You know, I don't think we did a bad job against Norwich, and I don't think we did a job against Leicester, and I don't think we did a bad job against Blackburn in midfield and Sunderland to a degree. So, you know, Blackburn, I suspect, are probably going to be up there towards the end of the season. Leicester clearly are going to be up there, and Norwich should be up there. So, I think you're right. I think it's going to be tough for a lot of teams, assuming that we can maintain fitness levels in there. So, yeah, I don't envy Wales having to come up against them. I really don't, or anybody else for that matter.
Yeah. They've also got Danny Ward playing from as well. If you want another sort of subplot in there as well.
Yeah, I was going to say we can't really go this hardcore on the whole, because they will get jinxed. So
the good thing is Warnock can't score. I know he can beat us, but he can't score. That's one of the former players.
Watch it happen.
I just hope that Danny Ward's still just that one single pace behind the ball every time.
Please.
That's how he was with us, wasn't he? He always got his weight on wrong foot or just the foot too far to the left or too far to the right. So fingers crossed he's still got that in his game.
Fingers crossed we don't watch this back on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if any Huddersfield fans are watching this, don't clip it. Just don't watch it. It's fine. Just don't do it. Yeah. John Morell said earlier, you watch Wiles turn into prime PLO for one game and one game only. Yeah, that won't surprise me. Shelley says, where do you think Revan will fit in? Does he come straight in the left back? Would you put him further forward? Yeah, so he's obviously signed on deadline day, wasn't eligible for the Norwich game, and that he's now available. He's had the full international break. He's signed at a good time. He gets 2 weeks to sort of bed in, Mick. Based on how Bramall played against Norwich, we'd be stupid to take Bramall out, to be honest with you. Bramall was excellent, and that pace is great. I think right now it's Bramall's shirt.
Yeah, it is without a shadow of a doubt. And like you say, he came back after the disappointment of the Leicester game for him. And let's be fair, we're still talking about a disappointing result against Leicester, and it would have been a draw had it not been for his mistake, which is why he was so upset about it. But he was excellent, like you said, against Norwich, and it's his shirt at the moment. But this lad, Revan, he's a hot prospect, isn't he? There's no doubt about that. So if Bramall's form does drop off, then there's somebody waiting in the wings to take his place. So yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult, isn't it? I'm assuming is he an out and out left back, or is he a left wing back?
He seems to be an out left back.
I think. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know much about him. I'm surprised you've said as much as you have, Mick. To be honest,
just research.
Yeah, I'm sure.
No,
Was he at Grimsby last season?
It was no. I thought he was played anywhere, has he? I might be wrong.
I thought he was on loan at Grimsby last season, or maybe I searched up a different Revan. But yeah. I think for now, I think you're right. I think it's Bramall's shirt to lose, which provides competition. It also could have been a matter of fact that a club bidded for Bramall, or phone call or whatever, which never seems to help a mentality of a player. So it could be that as well, could help him kick on a bit more now. I think Bramall on his day is a great player. I know we've spoken about him defensively, which I think everyone can see he's not defensively the most sound, but going forward, he's such a threat that I think, like you said, it's his shirt to lose now. But yeah, did he play for Grimsby then?
He did. He played, not for last season, the season before. He also played for Hereford in the same season.
Right.
But he is also, oddly, included in Aston Villa's Europa League squad.
Yeah, he played against
Hibs. Yeah, well, they've registered him for the next stage of the competition as well, somehow. I don't know how and why they've done that, so he's on loan for the season.
But was that like Coventry last season?
Well, he's going to pick up a winner's medal even though he's played just one game. Like it. Big fan of that.
Who knows?
That may suggest that they rate him highly and there's an interest in maybe calling him back in January. That's something to keep your eye on. If he plays very, very well, you never know how that's going to play out. Powerman says Bramall could be rested Wednesday. That's something you've got to bear in mind, or Matt Taylor will obviously bear in mind, is the selection, because you're not going to think about Saturday. You've got to think about Wednesday and then the following Saturday as well. It's a big week coming up with a couple of away games. Two away games, is it? 2 away games and then Preston next week.
2 away games and then top at league at home, yeah.
Easy peasy. Easy. Yeah. Shelley says he has played left wing, also central mid from it. Yeah. He said in his interview, I think it was again through advertising, he is a left back. He can play centre half, or he can play, I think he said play anywhere across the back. He can also play as a midfielder as well. John Morell with his Aston Villa digs. They have 6 fingers, Matt. That's why they've registered him. I hope Tobias is not watching. So, Tom, let's talk about what you want to do. What do you want to see going forward in terms of lineups? So we've talked about Bramall. Obviously, I think we'll play. Are there any other changes you'd be tempted to make anywhere else? The big question for me is Hugo and is Nombe going to come in? That's the big one, really.
Yeah, I think you have to play the same lineup. I think consistency is key. I wouldn't be surprised if he put Nombe in, because Hugo was carrying an injury, wasn't he? I don't know if that's sorted, so he might just decide to rest him. But in terms of consistency, I think every manager wants consistency. Whether or not on paper it's your best 11, I don't think matters as much. As long as the team that you've put out has done a good job in the last game, it's harsh to drop players and put them in the second game, the game after. Sorry. So I'd expect the same team, and to be honest, I'd expect the same sort of 11 for the rest of the season, barring any late free agent inclusions who might push their way in. I think that's kind of the squad that we're getting for until January at least, I should say. So I think on paper right now, I think it is our strongest 11. I think, like you said, the only player who maybe gets a shout is Nombe, but like I said, with consistency and Hugo just scoring and playing well, he'd be unlucky to get dropped.
Yeah. Mick, same. I saw a question because I can't see anybody else changing, to be honest with you. I can't see Limbakita coming out. Can't see why I changed Humphreys and Blackgate. We've talked about midfield 3.
Yeah. Is he injured? Sorry.
It was a. I think it was a precaution why he didn't go with Jamaica. I don't think it was actually injury.
Right. Okay.
And then you've got the front 3: Hugo, Onyedimne, and Green. Are you changing anything? Because they were great, mate. They were great.
No, I don't see why you would unless there's any injury. Let's give the newer players a chance to bed in training and what have you, and ease them into the squad with some substitute appearances to start with, given the performance of that last game. Excuse me, and also the performance leading up to the goal at Sunderland as well, and the Leicester game. Why would you? There's absolutely no need to. So we can just sort of, like you say, ease those other players in.
Yeah. John Morell says, on Warnock's side, you should start off Hugo, let him rough him up the back line a little bit, and then pace later on, which is probably what Nombe would do. again, you've got to think about the week. Is Hugo's not going to start 3 games in a week, probably, especially if he's carrying knee injury. So Number's going to get his chance over the next 3 games, you'd probably expect, even if it doesn't start Saturday. Shelley says it should be the same lineup that played Norwich. Number is useful with his pace and power from 60 minutes onwards, back to John's point, which I think is fair as well. Freezing Fury wants to come back on the Ben Wiles issue, talk. It says, do not care about Wiles. He isn't a Rotherham player anymore. We seem to get caught up in sentiment. Hope he has a stinker. And I am not fussed what he does going forward. We have a better midfield going forward.
Yeah, that's valid.
I can see what you're saying there, but it does benefit us because if he starts to develop and achieves his potential, then I'm sure we'll be a nice sell on balls when Huddersfield sell him onto a Premier League side. So, it is in our interests for him to do well, but obviously not at our cost.
Yeah, I don't want Scott winning goal to send us down or all like that, obviously.
No, exactly, precisely, yeah.
That'd be. Yeah, talk about films earlier on. Maybe that's the end. It was written up. Let's do some predictions before we start crying about it. Mick, thoughts for side prediction?
That's a deep sigh.
Yeah, it was. It was. I've gone consistently 2-0 because I know at some stage this season we're going to win 2-0. So I'm just going to stick with it. I'm going to stick with it.
That's like the casino hack.
Yeah.
Didn't win this one, so
I'm going to stick with 2-0.
Okay, no worries. Danny's sent his in and he's gone 1-1, which is take a draw. I'm going to positive and I'm going to say 2-1 to us. I just that start at Sunderland was too positive to ignore, to be honest with you. And Huddersfield are not as good as Sunderland, so why not? Tom, what do you reckon?
I was going to go 2-0, but I think I can't see us keeping a clean sheet. So I think I'm going to go 2-3. You know what? I'm going to go 3-1.
3-1.
Yeah, go a bit different.
Yeah, I can't see us keeping a clean sheet either, to be honest with you.
But I think we'll be, I hope that we'll be comfortable by that point, and that it's not just it's a late goal rather than a.
I think you've got to look that this defence have been woeful to start with at the beginning of the season at Stoke and got gradually better and better and better. And the performances have been very good. And we've only conceded against 2 of the top sides realistically in the last 2 games. I think had we not been playing Norwich and Leicester at home in these last 2 games and would have been playing teams in around us, I think those clean sheets would have come. I'm absolutely sure of that. The quality that those 2 teams have got to penetrate anybody's defence in this league, is way above what anybody else has got. So that clean sheet will come, and I'm going for it on Saturday.
Yeah,
I like it. It's worth pointing out this is a very minor record, but I'm pointing out in this last show that if we score on Saturday, we'll have scored the first 6 games, and we haven't done that in the second tier since 1961. So it's a bit of a minor record to tick off if we do score, which I can't see us not scoring. We may go 0-0, but I've got so much confidence that we'll get a goal in a minute. I'll be surprised if we don't chalk that one up. So just something very minor to keep your eye on. John Morell says 1-1 for him. Your away record is dire and both sides don't want to lose. Yeah,
that's a fair shout.
They've lost both home games so far. They have played Leicester and Norwich, to be fair to them.
So have we at home. And
that's true, actually. And we picked up 3 points. Yeah, stuff them. Yeah, Reg says 3-1 either team. Powermad 1-1 says 1-1 as well. It's popular score. I think we are the better team, but our away form stinks. Chav says 0-2, I think is to them. IFC OK says 2-2.
We're the away side. That's 2-0 to us, isn't it? It's we're the away side.
I always put that the first score's us because we're talking about us. Chav, let us know. Russ Burns says 3-1. Ruth Clark says 2-1 to the Millers. Aaron says 1-1. John S says 4-1 to the Millers with Wiles scoring.
Yeah.
Z Thompson says 3-1 to the Millers with no Ben Wiles fear. Steve Thompson says 0-0. And CJ134 says 1-0, a 79th minute goal. I like it. Reg says, do we think it'll be a scrappy game? I mean, Mick, but Neil Warnock was our manager, so I can say this. Has there ever been a pretty game involving Neil Warnock?
Not really. Not really. That's not Neil Warnock's style, is it? I guess. And he will have seen the way they will have scouted the way we've played in these last 2 games, and look to see the fact that we are trying to maintain a bit of possession and play a little bit of football. So I would argue, and I feel like I'm being a really big-headed saying this. I would argue if it's a scrappy game, it would benefit them more than it would benefit us. Which I can't remember the last time I've been able to say that about a Rotherham United side. So I would argue that's what he'll probably aim for. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see whether they're able to achieve it or not.
Chav says it's to the Millers. He did mean 2-0 to the Millers.
Yeah,
Chav. Fair. Yeah, to finish on that, Tom, what do you expect to see in terms of a game? Do you think it's going to be a scrap fest? Are they going to try and bring it down to the level that it was last year?
I think quality-wise, it's going to be worse than Leicester and Norwich. I don't think it'll be down to either team. I just think that's how our away form kind of goes. I mean, our first half against Sunderland was, by all intents and purposes, scrappy. In a way, we didn't have as much as the ball as you thought we would have. I think we use the ball a lot better now, which is a big positive. So I think when we have the ball, we will use it better. But again, with us, I when teams play a low block like Neil Warnock's sides usually do, we don't tend to have that kind of final product, that cutting edge. So maybe with the players that we brought in, the likes of Cafu, Green, and Onyedinma, we will change that, but I think it'll still be scrappy because I think they'll make it a scrappy game because of Warnock, not because of anything that they do. And then I think we will inevitably try and not, but also inevitably fall into that.
The good thing is, I think we've got players for a scrap. You want a scrap, you want Ollie Rathbone. You want a scrap on Gordon Hugel.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we still have got it in our locker to do that. I think.
Oh, we have. You've got Cafu in there as well. Don't forget in that midfield.
Yeah, it's a street fighter, isn't it? Really.
Yeah. Andre Green's not frying and mixing it with players. Fred, he has no issues with it, So they're up for a scrap. They're up for a scrap. Well, I'm sure we can compete in that department. It's just about who's got the more quality in it, and having not seen anything of them this season, the results suggest it should go our way, but with that caveat of, as it's been mentioned a few times in the comments, they are away forms patchy.
I'm
sure
John says, let's be honest, you won't have a better chance to get an away win. It's probably against one of the weakest sides of the season. Yeah, but they have just won, sadly. They might boil up. Tom, you're going to be begging for a win because this might be the best chance all season for 3 wins back to back.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Millwall. It might be the best chance you've got.
Oh my God. If we do win, no, absolutely. Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Mick, you were there for that episode, were you?
Me?
Mick, were you there when this bet was placed, Mick?
I'm not involved in it, mate.
Were you there? Are you aware of this?
I'm aware that No, I weren't listening, to be honest. Something about 50 quid and three games, 3 wins on trial.
Wins, yeah.
I thought you were in Dublin at the time, weren't you? So I thought you'd do much Guinness or something.
Imagine if it happens this early on as well. Holy.
That'd be brilliant if it happened this early on.
Oh my God. Up it to a hook. No, I'm kidding. That's great.
Shelley says Victor will have a scrap as well. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, fair comment, yeah.
Rotherham fan wants to ask, would you take a draw if somebody offered you 1 point right now? Are you taking that, Tom, or are you risking taking
risking the 3 point? I think we need to break the stuck of this away form. I think we need to go into it wanting a win. As soon as we start thinking, I'll take a draw here against, as somebody said it before, one of the weaker sides, then what kind of ambition's that? I think we should want all these, I think we should want to go into this game wanting to win, and wanting to win comfortably and emphatically as well. So no.
It's full of clips. Huddersfield fans watching this show is full of clips for you tonight if you win. If you win,
Yeah.
honestly, we've given you some material. Let's put it that way. John says we've jinxed it. Sorry, I found I've jinxed it, Tom. We're not going to win there because of mentioning it, I suppose. Yeah. Anything else? I've got nothing else to talk about. Is there anything else you always want to mention before we?
I think it's just been mentioned in the comments there. Yeah, just wish Victor a happy birthday today.
Yes.
Our Vikings 20. I'm going 25th birthday today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Birthday, Victor.
Like a clean sheet for a birthday present.
Absolutely right.
3 points as well.
Last year on his birthday, we beat Blackpool 3-0.
There you go.
So hopefully
A
we
repeat.
can. It's not on his birthday. Hopefully we can get a similar win. Win away, a win at home, and sail to the Premiership, says Palmad. Not like getting carried away, is there?
No.
I said this on I spoke to Gab Sutton on his show last week, and I said it's about trying to maintain level-headedness at this stage because we're all really excited about the way we've played, and I think there's loads of positivity, but there's only been 4 games really if you discount the Stoke game. So trying to get too high. We're in Saturday. Trying to get too high on that one.
The performances have been there, which I think is the most important thing.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Key,
consistently as well.
Yeah. Right, so we'll wrap it up there. Thank you all who has been with us tonight. We will be back on. Well, we'll be back. You will to see us on Friday evening.
Matt, should we address
sorry.
There was that.
Scott Kent interrupted me. Scott Kent wants to mention the Clucas. Sam Clucas? Sam.
Yes.
Matt Taylor's mentioned that there could be a signing before the weekend. Sam Clucas looks to be the one that's almost a done deal. He's a sort of a forward-thinking player that was at Stoke. Plenty of championship experience. One of those players that on his day is a really, really good player. That's all I have to say about him, to be honest with you. I don't know if you boys have got anything to add. I think it's a good signing. I think it's a really good signing if he comes in.
Yeah. I think he's a very what's the word? Industrious midfielder. I think he does the dirty work well, and he'll just be a good addition in squad depth, which is something that we've spoken about a lot being lacking. Midfield area is not really where we are lacking, but at the same time, it doesn't hurt. I think he can play fullback as well, or he did at one point in his career, which it'd be good if just to have cover all over the pitch, and he's experienced, and that's versatility. But that's the sort of player that we're bringing in as an experienced championship player, which we've never done before. The likes of Morrison, Hall, that kind of caliber of player. So I don't think he'll be a starter if he does come, but I think he's a very good option to have both off the bench and as a rotational player. So
a couple of them mentioned if he can stay fit and he's not played a lot in the last 2 years. Well, that's true, but that tells me we'll be getting a bargain, won't we? He won't be on 10 grand a week if he's been injured for the last 2 seasons. He can't justify his wages, so we're probably getting a player on reasonable wages that has the potential to be an excellent player. So I think it's I hope it comes through. I think it helps with squad depth. Last call. Anything else?
No, I saw it before, so I thought we should probably address it.
Right. He did mention it earlier, to be fair to Scott. I did star it, but I forgot to mention it. Thank you, everybody who's with us. Friday night, the Hakeem Adoffin interview will be up at around 8 o'clock time. I'll stay attached to the socials on X and Facebook. You'll be able to see that through there. And then we'll be back again on Sunday, which will be our fourth episode in 5 days, when we review the Huddersfield game and look ahead to Millwall away on Wednesday as the exotic fixtures keep coming. Huddersfield and Millwall. How exciting. Thank you. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and give the video a thumbs up as well. We've just tipped over 1,200. If we can get anywhere close to 13 before Christmas, that'd be lovely. If you're iTunes on Spotify, make sure you have given us a 5-star rating and followed or subscribed wherever you are listening to that. Thank you, everybody who has been with us tonight. Thank you who is going to watch the Adoffin interview tomorrow. I hope you enjoy it because I think it's pretty good. For him, from him, not us, obviously. But yeah, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Tom, for being with us again tonight and for giving up most of your evening. It's been good.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Really nice.
And Mick, same again for you. Thank you very much. And we'll see your family for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I'm sure they're buzzing. I'm sure they're really
happy about that.
Anyway, thank you, everybody. We will see you next time. And up the Millers.
All the Millers.
Slides into Wales, Wales through a goal, slots it beyond Foderingham, and the Millers are in front in the South Yorkshire derby. And for the first time in 42 years, Rotherham United win at Bramall Lane. On the edge of the box for Doffin, he can hit them, and he does. The Doffin has scored an absolute screamer for Rotherham United. Rotherham United have secured their championship